How much do I need to retire? The age-old question, probably the biggest one you'll ever ask. And you're going to get some wildly different answers. Some will say a million's enough, others 2 million. Some advisors throw out these rules of thumb, like 70% of your working income or spending 5 to 7K a month in retirement. But here's the reality. No one knows. There's no magic number. It's not a one-size-fits-all. Depends on your lifestyle, where you live, if you have a mortgage still, what you want to do with your free time, and of course, how much of your income ends up going back to the government. Tax is the biggest wealth killer. It'll get everybody. And some people get this wrong. Most do, actually. Most underestimate how much they'll actually spend once they retire, especially with inflation and healthcare costs creeping higher every year. Others overestimate and stress themselves out thinking they'll never have enough, even though they're already in a solid position. So the real question isn't what's the number, it's what does your number look like? Hi, I'm Ivan Dory, owner of Solid State Wealth. If you'd like to see what this looks like in your own situation, book a time with me. The link is in the description below. If you find this video helpful, give it a like and a share and all that good stuff. Maybe with somebody who's planning their retirement. It helps avoid the guesswork and you can feel confident about your future. So let's break this down together so you can understand what you actually need to retire in Canada without falling into some of those oversimplified magic number myths. So part one, what most people get wrong. The first mistake Canadians make is treating retirement like a single number. I need $1 million or I need 80 grand a year. I need 70% of my current salary. The problem with this is the approach is it ignores three realities. Your lifestyle. Lifestyle differences. If you're retiring in Toronto and you want to travel, have golf memberships, help adult children, be financially stable, that looks very different from retiring in a small town, mortgage-free, with simple hobbies. You're going to have the same lifestyle, usually when you work, just less bills. Another thing is longevity risk. Are you going to outlive your money? Retirement might not be 20 years. With life expectancies rising, you could last 30 or 40 years after retirement. Your savings need to stretch decades. So that means accounting for inflation, rising healthcare costs. You don't want to run out of money. You cannot outlive your money. And then taxes. CRA's got their hand out. Many Canadians think in terms of gross numbers, but what matters is net, after tax. RRSPs, RRIFs are fully taxable. OAS clawbacks kick in once your income crosses that threshold. And without planning, you might look rich on paper, but you're going to lose thousands a year unnecessarily to tax. The wealthy don't think in terms of a single number. They think in terms of cash flow, flexibility, tax efficiency. It's the planning. So part two, the reality behind the numbers. Let's look at 3 different couples in Canada to see how much they really need. Scenario 1, 750 grand in savings. We're going to call this couple John and Mary. They're 63. They got 600 grand in RRSPs, 150K in their TFSAs. They both are going to get CPP and OAS. And together that might give them about 35 grand a year. The goal, the lifestyle, is 65 grand a year. So we run the numbers. Their RRSPs could provide about 30,000 annually. Their CPP and OAS provides another 35K. So if you add a little from their TFSA, they're pretty close to their target. What's the challenge? Most of their wealth is in their RRSP, so the taxes are going to be high. They can't avoid that. If they don't plan carefully, their income will jump in their 70s because CRA will make them take that as a RRIF, and they'll risk going into OAS clawback territory. So they need to be careful with their withdrawal strategies, starting their RRSP withdrawals earlier, taking their TFSA accounts later to make it work. Scenario 2, we have 1.5 million in savings. We have Sarah and David. They're 65, 1.1 in RRSPs, 250 in a TFSA, 150 in a non-registered account. They want to spend about 90 grand a year. So let's see how that one looks for them. Their RRSP withdrawals are going to cover about 45 grand a year. CPP and OAS provides about another 40,000, and their TFSAs can fill in the gap tax-free, which is great. On paper, they're in great shape, but by 71, the RRIF minimums will force their income higher, pushing them into clawback territory for the OAS. If they don't plan carefully, they could lose thousands in OAS every year. With a strategy like drawing down more from their RRSPs in their 60s and delaying their CPP, they could lower lifetime taxes significantly. Now we have scenario 3 with $3 million of savings, We have Anne and Robert. Both are 62. They have $2 million in corporate assets, 500 grand in RRSPs, and 500 grand in their TFSAs. They want to spend about 120 a year, and their situation's very different. They're going to rely heavily on dividends from their corp, which can be taxed way more efficiently than RRSPs, turning into RIF minimum withdrawals. What else? Their tax-free savings accounts give them flexibility. Their RRSPs are a smaller portion of their overall portfolio, which means less forced taxable income at 71 when the government turns that RRSP into a RIF. Now, this couple has more than enough to retire. We can see that. But the key is structuring their withdrawals to balance their dividends, their TFSA use, and eventually their RRSPs to avoid paying more tax than they need to. What's the lesson for us? Your retirement number isn't just about assets. It's about how those assets are structured, how withdrawals are timed, and how much tax you give up along the way. Part 3, a strategy that works, figuring out your number. So how do you figure out how much you actually need? Well, it comes down to 3 steps. Step 1, we want to define your lifestyle. Start by asking, what does your retirement look like? Do you want to travel every year? Do you want to stay local? Do you plan to help your kids or grandkids financially, or let them figure it out like you did? Will you keep a second property, vacation home, or are you going to downsize the family home and move into a condo or some sort of different dwelling? If your lifestyle is simple, you might be comfortable on 60 grand a year. If you want extensive travel, hobbies, gifts to the family, you may need 100 grand or more per year. Another step 2, is layering your income sources. We're going to look at reliable income sources. So we have CPPs. For most Canadians, this is between 8 and 15,000 annually per person, depending on when you start that. The old age supplement, or OAS, is around 8,500 annually per person at 65, which is indexed to inflation too. Then we have RRSPs and RRIFs. So these depend on your savings and your withdrawal strategy. Next, we have the TFSA account, which is a great, powerful use of funds. It's tax-free. Withdrawals are tax-free. Growth is tax-free. It's great. And then we have non-registered investments. You can collect those by dividends, interest, capital gains, and they're all taxed differently. Then for business owners, we have corporate assets, which is retained earnings in the corp from their business and corporate strategies that we can use to provide them with flexible income. You add all these layers together, and you see what cash flow is possible that will sustain your lifestyle. Step 3, we want to stress test those sources for taxes and inflation. It's not enough to just add the numbers. You need to test what happens with taxes, inflation, and longevity. People are living longer. What happens when your RRIF withdrawals push you into a higher tax bracket? How does OAS clawbacks affect your net income? What if you live to be 95 or 100? It's happening a lot. Does your plan still last to those later years? What if inflation averages 3 or 4% over decades? That's a big erosion of your assets. A proper retirement plan isn't just about getting to the age of 65. It's about making sure your money lasts and that you're not paying the CRA more than you absolutely need to along the way. Part 4, mistakes to avoid. Here are some of the most common mistakes Canadians can make. Relying too heavily on your RRSPs. RRSPs are great. They grow tax deferred. Every dollar out is taxable. If RRSPs are your only bucket, you'll face high taxes and less flexibility. Simple. Another thing is neglecting your TFSA account. Many underfund TFSAs while maxing their RRSPs. In retirement, the TFSA is one of the most powerful tools for tax-free income. Do not neglect it. Ignoring taxes in your projections. Now, people will look at $1 million RRSP and think they're good, forgetting that a large portion goes to the CRA. And another one is not coordinating your CPP and OAS timing. Taking benefits too early or too late without a strategy can cost you thousands. And forgetting inflation. We can't forget that. $70,000 today won't be the same lifestyle 20 years from now. If your plan does not account for this, you could run short. Delaying planning is a killer. If you wait until you're 70, you've missed your opportunity in your 60s to withdraw strategically and smooth out your tax burden from your RRSPs. Part 5, what you should do next. So how much you need to retire in Canada? The truth is, it depends. We don't really know. Everybody's different. For some, $750K with CPP and OAS is enough to live comfortably for their lifetime. For others, their lifestyle is different. $2 to $3 million is necessary to maintain the lifestyle they want. The answer is not about a single number. It's about creating a personalized plan that matches your lifestyle with your income sources in the most tax-efficient way possible. Wealthy Canadians don't ask, what's the number? They ask, how much do I need to spend per year and how do I get there? What's the most tax-efficient way to draw down my income? Another great question. Another one, how do I make sure my money lasts as long as I do? You cannot outlive your money. That's the mindset shift you need to retire with confidence. If you would like to see what this looks like in your own plan, book a time with me. The link is in the description below. And if you found this video helpful, give it a like and a share with somebody who's planning their retirement. I like to help Canadians retire confidently, which is why I create these videos, so I can educate as many as I can. Thanks for watching.